Last semester, a PhD student at Stanford University was dragged into a 3-hour academic integrity hearing. The accusations were severe, academic misconduct. The evidence against him? His research paper was simply too good. The methodology was too airtight, the synthesis too profound, and the counter-argument too perfectly dismantled. His professor assumed he has either bought the paper from a ghostwriter or blindly generated it using an AI. They sat him down in a room with a panel of senior academics, expecting a confession. Instead, he opened his laptop, pulled up his large language model interface, and completely destroyed their understanding of modern academia. He didn't just defend his paper, he rebuilt the entire cognitive architecture of it live in front of the tribunal, proving that he hasn't used AI to cheat, he has used AI to think harder than any human in that room was capable of. Before I show you the exact 4-prompt architecture this Stanford scholar used to compress 6 months of PhD research into a single workflow, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor market and upgrade your intellectual capital using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these blueprints. Today, we are dismantling the outdated academic process. I'm going to show you how to combine Socratic integration with meta-negative prompting to turn your AI into ruthless Stanford-level peer reviewer. Grab a notebook. It is time to stop writing like a student and start engineering your intellect like an apex researcher. Welcome back. I'm Dr. To understand why my approach to the complex research and data synthesis is aggressively different from the traditional academic advisors, you must understand my underlying architecture. I hold a PhD in Human Resources, a master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences (TISS) in Mumbai, and a bachelor's in Computer Engineering. I do not look at the academic research as a romantic pursuit of knowledge. I look at it as a systems engineering problem. How do we extract maximum signal from infinite noise? Operating here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for apex corporate entities, I know that the executives and the scholars who win do not rely on raw biological brainpower alone. They build exoskeletons for their mind. When the Stanford student was asked to explain his methodology from scratch, he didn't panic. He showed the panel exactly how he forced the AI out of its lazy average state and turned into a high-friction cognitive forge. Let us break down the exact sequence of prompt he ran in that room and the engineering logic behind why they left the professor in absolute silence. Phase 1. The raw data ingestion negative prompting. The first thing the student did in front of the panel was feed the AI his raw, chaotic, unformatted research notes. If an amateur did this, they would type, "Here are my notes, please write an outline for my paper." The AI would have generated a generic, statistically average high school essay. But this scholar understood meta-negative prompting. He commanded the machine. He typed, "You are a research methodology expert. Here are my raw notes. Identify the 3 strongest arguments buried in this data. Rank them by originality and show me exactly where each one challenges or extends existing literature." To make this prompt bulletproof, you must apply the negative semantic blockade we discussed in the previous masterclass. You add, "Do not summarize my notes. Do not give me a generic literature review. Do not use academic filler words. Only surface the absolute high leverage friction points." The engineering logic. The professors went quiet because they saw the machine doing exactly what a PhD advisor is supposed to do. But it did it in 4 seconds. By explicitly blocking the AI from summarizing, the student forced the algorithms to evaluate the structural integrity of his own unformed thoughts. He was not asking for the AI to write the paper. He was asking the AI to audit his raw logic and rank it by academic alpha. Phase 2. The hostile pre-reviewer, Socratic friction. Once the arguments were established, the student moved to a second phase. This is where the academic panel began to realize they were witnessing a paradigm shift. He ran his second prompt. Now simulate a hostile peer reviewer with a PhD in this specific field. Generate every serious structural objection they would raise against my core thesis. Then tell me which objections actually have merit and which one I can dismantle. To elevate this to the absolute apex level, you must integrate the Socratic drill master protocol. You add, do not just list the objections. Act as a Socratic interrogator. Ask me piercing, devastating questions about my methodology and my data set. Force me to defend my premise. After I answer your first objection, attack the weakest point of my defense. Do not stop until my logic is flawless. The engineering logic. One professor actually leaned forward and asked the student to stop so she could write the prompt down. Why? Because this prompt weaponizes cognitive friction. Most students seek validation. They want the AI to tell them their paper is brilliant. Elite scholars seek destruction. They want the AI to find a fatal flaw in their architecture before the peer review committee does. By forcing the AI into a hostile Socratic persona, the student was experiencing the intellectual pressure of a thesis defense every single day in his dorm room. Phase 3, the Steelman protocol. The student kept going. He has found his weak points through the hostile reviewer. Now, he had to reinforce the structure. He typed the third prompt, take my absolute weakest argument and Steelman it harder than I did. Show me what it would look like if it were a mathematically and logically airtight. Then, tell me exactly what empirical data or citation I would need to find to prove it and get it to that level. The engineering logic. In debate and philosophy, Steelmanning is the opposite of strawman argument. It is a practice of taking your opponent's argument, or in this case your own weakest link, and building the most formidable, indestructible version of it possible. The AI is not writing the paper for him. It is providing an architectural blueprint of what a perfect argument looks like. It tells him, if you want this argument to survive, you need a dataset proving X and a citation from a 2024 study proving Y. The student still has to go into academic databases, find the actual studies, and do the biological human work of validating the data. But the AI has given him the exact structural blueprint of what he is hunting for. It eliminates weeks of aimless reading. Phase 4, the Brutal Advisor and Iterative Refinement. Then came the prompt that ended the hearing. The student showed them the final stage of his workflow. The stage that replaced 6 months of agonizing back and forth emails with a distracted academic advisor. He typed, "You are my senior thesis advisor. I have 24 hours before the final submission. Read this draft and tell me the single, uncompromising changes that would move this conclusion from B+ to A+. Be brutal, do not hedge." He walked the panel through the history logs of his AI interface. He showed them how he had used the exact output to rewrite his conclusion 3 separate times. He didn't accept the AI first draft. He used the iterative refinement loop. Draft 1, he wrote it. The AI tore it apart. Draft 2, he fixed the logical gaps. The AI flagged a weak citation. Draft 3, he reinforced the citation. The AI confirmed it was structurally sound. He iterated until the conclusion held up under every single objection that the hostile peer reviewer had generated in phase 2. The engineering logic. The traditional academic feedback loop is violently inefficient. You submit a draft. 3 weeks later, your advisor gives you a vague note. You revise, you wait another 3 weeks. This student compressed a 6-month temporal delay into a 45-minute continuous feedback loop. He was operating at a velocity that biological academia simply cannot process. Phase 5, the academic ceiling. Let us look at the verdict of the tribunal. The panel did not just clear him of the academic misconduct, they gave him the highest grade in the department's history. They formally asked him to present his workflow to the entire faculty. The irony of this story is profoundly beautiful. The paper looked too good to be human, not because a machine wrote it, but because the student had found a way to use a machine to force himself to think harder, faster, and more rigorously than most humans ever bother to. This is the fundamental misunderstanding. This is the fundamental misunderstanding of the AI revolution in both academia and the corporate sector. Lazy people use AI to bypass thinking. They type, "Write this for me," and they submit the statistical average. That is cheating, and more importantly, it makes you cognitively weak. Elite operators use AI to increase the friction of thinking. They use Socratic prompt to interrogate their own assumptions. They use negative prompting to banish cliché and force deep structural synthesis. They use the machine as a ruthless cognitive sparring partner that never sleeps, never gets tired, and never holds back its punches. This is not cheating. This is the new ceiling of the human intellectual capability. Look closely at the mechanics of the market. Whether you are in a PhD program, a corporate boardroom, or a startup incubator, the professional who survive the next 3 years will not be the ones who ban AI. They will not be the ones who blindly let AI do their work. The winners will be the cognitive architect. They will be the individual who build complex, multi-pronged workflow to test their own logic, audit their own blind spots, and compress months of strategic refinement into a single afternoon. If you want to operate at the absolute apex of your industry, you must stop using these tools as glorified typewriter. Feed it your own raw data, command the negative blockade, summon the hostile reviewer, Steelman your weakest link, and demand the brutal truth. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at the top.